Yeah, well, I'm just calling about the state of the country, since we are supposedly coming out of the pandemic, but yet you've still got people, many people in the country that are acting as if it's still a really deadly disease.
Yes.
I mean, I walked into a store yesterday and people working in there, they still had these ridiculous cardboard screens up with a bit of, plastic in the middle of them across the cash desk.
Right.
And they were both in, black masks and really obviously still paranoid about serving the public.
Yeah.
And yet these flimsy cardboard screens with a bit of plastic in the middle do absolutely nothing because there's space above them, there's space around the side of them, and there's space underneath them, and they look like they were, just about to fall off the desk anyway. So,
I mean, it is mad, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you
carrying on.
I don't know if you heard the show yesterday, but we spoke to a guy who was talking about his elderly mother who was in a care home and she was at the sort of end of her life, and it was a very sad story. But one of the things that he said was that when he wanted to go and see her, the people in the care home said, well, it's a very, risky place you're going to come into because there's a lot of COVID here. She didn't, he didn't get it from her. But he goes there, right, he said, oh, don't worry, he said, I'll put on all the PPE. So he put on all the, the masks, the gloves, the proper, all the gear, and he got COVID anyway. So,
God.
I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
I know. But the thing I wanted to say to you this morning is the way I see things with the way the country's going, I mean, let's face it, we're in a real mess.
Yeah.
And I think that this government is almost doing what they're doing to us on purpose. And it's the same thing that I see happening in the United States. Biden is almost purposely destroying the United States. And what's happening with the boat migrants coming over to our shores is the same problem they've got with the migrants on the southern border in the US. Their country is being flooded with illegal migrants the same as our country is, and I think it's by design now. I do not think they really want to solve this problem. I think it's all part of a bigger plan that is in place, which I think is being pushed by the World Economic Forum. And I just think this is not going to end unless we, the people, make it end.
Well, how do you propose that we end it then?
Well, we've got to protest like we've never protested, I think, and we're just not doing that. This government doesn't understand that we've had enough of their policies.
Yeah, but don't you think as well, though, that if the government were really that clever and if the government were really able to control everything, that they would do something other than what's happening now, because they're not in control of anything.
That's what I mean, though.
No, but they're not in... But the point is there is nothing that they are in control of. They're not in control of the weather. They're not in control of the seas. They're not in control of the borders. They're not in control of the economy. They're not in control of inflation. That's not happening by accident. It's happening because it's part of, what we would call free market economies.
Yeah, I know, but they need to get a grip on these boat migrants.
They totally do. I totally get that.
Stop, I really, really believe if the boat migrants don't stop, then they are going to have some very angry people that are just going to get to the point where they're not going to stand for it anymore, because it's an invasion. Let's face it, we are being invaded illegally by people that don't have a right to just rock up on our shores and expect to be able to live here forever.
Yeah.
It is just not the way to do it.
It really isn't.
There are so many people that do it the right way. There are refugees that wait in line for years sometimes, people waiting in line to come to this country through the right avenue. They do not just turn up and expect to be given free housing in a hotel, free food, free this, free that, free legal fees. It's just not sustainable.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, because it's what it is. I'll tell you exactly what it is, Amanda, and I've got to move on because I'll talk to Steve in a minute. What it is that we are being taken for a ride. We're being taken advantage of by people smugglers who are making millions of pounds every single week out of these people and out of us, and they're just taking the mickey. That's the problem. Steve's in Scunthorpe. Hi, Steve.
Hiya.
How you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. Just want to say, Keir Starmer has banged on again that he didn't do anything wrong over this non-party he had. But if you read the COVID rules about campaigning, the mentions there about not being indoors and in the streets, only one or two people in the streets. You're not allowed to go in somebody's hallway. So why is nobody brought this up that he has broke the law?
Well, exactly right.
For tat.
Well, he won't answer the question. I mean, he has lost any shred of credibility that he might have had over this because he looks an absolute fool, doesn't he?
Well, exactly. I mean, he has, if he had read the rules, and considering he was Crown Prosecution Chief, he should know a bit about the law, shouldn't he?
Yeah, well, of course he should. And he should actually say, I made a mistake. He shouldn't say we didn't do anything wrong. 200 quid's worth of curry is not a small party, is it?
No, and what do they do after that? Do they go home? I mean, it'd be, if they were booked into hotels, it'd be work out what time they all went back.
Yes. No, exactly right. And also, I'm not one of these people, I don't really care what they did. My belief is these rules should never have been in place, but you can't moan about what happened in Downing Street and then just ignore what you did as if you didn't do anything wrong. It's absolutely ridiculous. Steve, good call. Thank you very much indeed. Lots more of you to talk to. Do keep your calls coming, please. 0344 499 1000. Coming up, we're going to find out what happened to Dave Chappelle at the Hollywood Bowl last night, where some maniac, obviously empowered by what he'd seen Will Smith doing at the Oscars, decided to actually just go up and have a go. Threw himself at him, ended up getting roughed up by the security guards and is now in hospital. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the NHS as well. Fix those hospitals, please. Sajid Javid, if you're not listening to this show, you should be, because we're going to be sending you a massive package of information about what the people want and when they want it.